Brothers. We've posted several articles on the KBH blog, including several references, photographs, anecdotes, anything you could think of. We hope that none of you are wanking and draining your brains into the toilet, and that you are in a sufficiently high state of mind to comprehend the things that are going on around you and not believing books instead of what is clear reality sitting straight in front of your face. Clear reality for all of us is devolution in the short term. So, in the short term, what we mean by that that the Kali Yuga started 6,000 years ago, and at that point everything started going downhill. And going downhill means environmentally. This is what the Bible means by the Garden of Eden. It means that we had incredibly good living conditions 5,000-6,000 years ago. And then you had lots of big animals, nice animals. Even said even the lions didn't eat meat. You have a really nice environment because everyone's not out there wasting it and bulldozing it over so they can have more meat and eat more flesh and hack a cow to death just to have lunch. If people aren't doing that, then the environment is doing well. And when people are lusty and satiating their appetites with blood and flesh and shoveling carnage into their mouths every day, you cannot sustain an environment, and that's what started to happen. The Nephilim are the giants, and it's talked about in several cultures, these all different kinds of races of human beings in the past. Why do I think this? Well, it's just plain old logic, people. Since you were born, are there more species or less? I mean, I don't know how many hundreds of species have gone extinct in my lifetime. And then you talk to your grandmother. What does she say? She said, well, we used to get fresh milk delivered to our door, and it was cheaper than the milk today. We go to the store, we get fresh orange juice. It's cheaper than the concentrated orange juice you get today. Oh, I don't like the cucumbers and the tomatoes that they sell in the store now. They have no flavor. They had more flavor when I was a kid. They produced organic vegetables. They didn't label them organic, they just were. That was the norm. Could we produce organic vegetables for everybody in the world now? Yes, very easily, but the problem is that we're feeding all these animals for what? The rakshas, or what do you call them? The man-eaters that are eating all this flesh. So your 16 out of 17 fields of grain are fed to animals so that these carnivores, well, not even really carnivores, but so that these man-eaters and flesh-eaters can suck the blood, shovel carnage into their face, and masturbate and have too much inner heat and get angry and explode upstairs and explode downstairs and just be generally quite explosive, which is what happens when you're full of all that fire that all this carnage and death fills you up with. And devolution for these past few thousand years, it's very, very apparent. In the fossil record, we do not have all of these intermediary species apparent from the bones. Not much is apparent from bones, people. And we also have to remember that the fossils don't tell us very much. You can't tell the dates from the fossils because carbon dating and radiocarbon dating is invalid. But you can see that there are the basic kinds. You have people, you have apes, you have fish kind, you have rabbit kind. This is where it gets really interesting. All these fossils that they're finding, they have huge examples of animals that are very small today. So in Spain, they're finding all these huge rabbit fossils. That to me is very interesting. That rabbits could just eat so much that they get that big in the past. You have huge spider fossils. You have huge reptile fossils. That's what they're calling dinosaurs. You have huge fossils of sloth. Look on Wikipedia, look up giant sloth. And I don't know why they posted that picture, but it's a fossil displayed in a museum of a sloth that is 3 meters tall. Right? We also have lots of bones of humans that were huge, that had enormous statures. And there have been uncountable finds of these huge human statues, and also these strange, rather famous human skulls that are very ovular and long and big. And the scientists just kind of cover that up because it doesn't fit with their theory. They don't cover up the big fossils. They think, well, fossils, we'll just do the Carl Sagan, billions and billions. We'll just say let's come up with some date that they like. That's what they want. They want some date that agrees with their stupid theory. And the evolution theory is just stupid. It's also related to Jewish and American individualism, where it says that everything has to start from a point. And that's just an assumption, and it doesn't even make sense. I don't see that in the regular world. Why do we all have to believe that everything, not just the Big Bang, but also the human races, everything, has to start from one single point? I mean, even the biblical story Adam and Eve, you're getting pretty allegorical with that. I see no physical relation between Chinese and Africans. I see no physical relation, linguistic relation to Chinese and anything else. There's no relation. Chinese have, this area of the world they call China, they have several thousand years of history, and it's not influenced by the outside. Which is why they're so weird. That's why they're party poopers. That's why you're having a good time with your friends. The Chinese walks and it's like throwing a bucket of ice. He says something and it's just so weird, it's off the wall or wrong, that everybody stops talking. They stop having a good time. That's why some people define Chinese as party poopers. But because they're very, very different people. Yeah, they're very, very different people. I mean, what's an alternative theory here? Okay. Well, we've got about 6 or 7 main races in the world right now. Well, what if humanity started as 6 or 7 different races? I mean, why is that impossible? If these evolutionists and these creationists, they both say everything starts from these points, right? There's always a point where there's magic. The evolutionists, they have several points of magic in the evolution theory. Magically, everything just exploded from nothing. Well, if everything can explode from nothing, 6 or 7 human races can explode from 6 or 7 points. If suddenly there's a patch of the ocean that has life, this is the evolution theory. They say, well, the prebiotic soup, from the prebiotic soup emerged single-cell organisms, which are not simple at all. They're very, very complex. If life can emerge from one point in the ocean, why can't it emerge at the same time 6 or 7 different points? Another case in point before I let you go, just think about it. The Wright brothers, a lot of the inventions in the world, we think, well, everything that's invented has to be from one guy. And that's not true. That's the legal structure. That's an assumption that people get from the legal structure. They think, well, one guy invented the light bulb, one guy invented the airplane, one guy invented these things. No. Groups of men invented everything you see around you. And often there are several groups of men inventing the same stuff at the same time. And this is what clearly happened with the invention of the airplane, which happened before international communications were sufficiently easy. And you had the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk producing their airplane, and then you had these French guys doing it at the same exact time with no physical communication between them. And they went to get their patents at the same time. And just chew on that for a while. There's no reason everything has to come from single points. You don't have to fall for that trap. You don't have to say, oh, we're all Africans. We all came from Africa. We've got this skeleton that came from 6 different layers of the earth and all these different places, and we just hodgepodge something together and we call her Lucy. That's not science, that's crap. That's not a fossil. I'm a fossil hunter. I've got boxes and boxes full of fossils I found myself. I know all the names. I love fossils. What the heck is Lucy? It's a hoax. It's crap. And then even if it were a complete skeleton, you're going to have to, I would say, photograph that thing before you pull it totally out of the earth so you can prove it's all complete and found in the same spot. And then, because a significant difference between humans and primates is the number of ribs, the number of things in the spine. You count all that, you got to know what you're dealing with. Bones are not a whole lot of information. You know, all these evolution people take bones of ancient races of humans and they curl them over in the museum, and then they put a nice imaginary picture in front. Well, this is what he looked like, and they just cover him with tons of hair. You don't know that. You don't know anything. And then with the dinosaurs, they're still arguing, are they cold-blooded or warm-blooded? It's a pretty important detail to know, don't you think? But you can't tell that from bones. And you can arrange common chicken bones into, baby brontosaurus if you want to. So take a picture when you take it out of the earth. At least tell us that what you're dealing with here is genuine. And then, be honest about what you know and what you don't know. And I'll repeat it, we don't know how long stuff has been there. We don't know how long. Just like rust. You can't tell me how fast something rusts. You can't say that's always going to be the same, and every condition, every place in the world, underwater, above water, high in the air, low in the air, in the mountains, in the desert, in the jungle, out of the jungle. Stuff changes at a different rate. And some things are preserved, some things get rusted out, they change, they grow old very fast. So you can't look at something that's decayed and say, oh, it's been here, billions and billions. As far as I'm concerned, billions and billions is Jew talk. It's coming from Carl Sagan. I don't trust him further than I could throw him, just like I don't trust the bankers. And I don't think any of you should either. Trust your own perception. And you'll see that the quality of our environment has been going down, the quality of health has been going down, IQ has been going down since it's been measured. It's been going down dramatically. The quality is just getting worse and worse. And we're not working our way toward the Garden of Eden or paradise in this way. So My world dream is upgrading. My specific corner of the world is always getting better. So, thank you, God, and thank you, Amitabha. And Om to all the brothers. Good evening. Om, brothers. We've posted several articles on the KBH blog, including several references, photographs, anecdotes, anything you could think of. We hope that none of you are wanking and draining your brains into the toilet. This environment, because everyone's not out there wasting it and bulldozing it over so they can have more meat and eat more flesh and hack a cow to death just to have lunch. If people aren't doing that, then the environment is doing well. And when people are, and that you are in a sufficiently high state of mind to comprehend the things that are going on around you and not believing books instead of what is clear reality sitting straight in front of your face. Clear reality for all of us is devolution in the short term. By the Garden of Eden, it means that we had incredibly good living conditions 5,000-6,000 years ago. And then you had lots of big animals, nice animals. Even the lions didn't eat meat. You have a really nice. So in the short term, what we mean by that, that the Kali Yuga started 6,000 years ago, and at that point, everything started going downhill. And going downhill means environmentally. This is what the Bible means